Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back, and today we're going to do One Piece chapter 1073 review. Let's get into it. The title of this chapter, Miss Buckingham Stussy. Let's start with the cover page, and we see that the Mads group was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for creating this specific type of flower that blooms in gunpowder. So you can see whenever the soldiers are shooting their gunpowder, it just blooms into flowers. And it was really funny to see how Vegapunk was really pleased with this invention, and you can see Judge, Caesar, and Queen in the background, and they just seemed kind of annoyed by this invention. And as we saw in the last chapter, they're more focused on creating these deadly weapons rather than creating this goody-goody flower blooming in gunpowder. You know what I'm saying? Now getting to the chapter, we see Stussy using an after image as Rob Lucci attacks her once he realizes that she is actually the enemy. And Stussy actually makes fun of Rob Lucci here. She's just like, oh, so you just try to kill anything that you don't understand? And that was just funny as it points out the flaw with Rob Lucci's perspective, as he's just a pure killer and will kill anything in his sight rather than think about it first. Stussy then uses Sea Stone on Rob Lucci, basically making him powerless, then takes him out with her vampire bite. And it seems that Stussy is kind of confirmed to have this sort of vampire ability slash bat ability where she's able to suck blood and basically make the person pass out. Shaka also points out that Stussy has been working undercover for them for over 20 years, so Lucci would have never expected this attack. And now it's clearly shown that Stussy was the person that Vegapunk was calling for help initially. And moving on, Stussy mentions that she does not have the authority to override a command put in by Rob Lucci for destroying the lab. So it seems like how the authority chip works is that the Seraphim has to follow all commands given to it. So once the command is given at a certain authority level, it has to complete that command. And even though a command is given again at that same authority level, it will not process that command until the previous command was completed. So the only thing that can cancel a command or override it is from a higher authority level. Or another way I could see it working is that if Rob Lucci initially gave the command to attack the lab and then he told the Seraphim, hey, actually don't attack the lab, I think that would also work. Whoever initially gave that command can also cancel their own command. And as Lucci goes down, Edison and Lilith emerge to try to tell the Seraphim to stop attacking the lab. And right as Lilith emerges, you see Mihawk set his crosshairs right onto her and is about to basically take her out. Luckily, Zoro steps in and stops Mihawk's attack right in the middle. And something interesting that Zoro mentions here is that this Mihawk Seraphim actually has more humanity than Mihawk himself. So honestly, all this is showing you is that the real Mihawk is more of a monster than even this Seraphim that was created in a lab. You know what I'm saying? Like, Mihawk is nothing to mess with right here. And basically the same thing happens to Edison, where Seraphim Jinbei sees him and shoots a beam at him. Luckily, Sanji flies in and saves Edison, and it clearly shows that Sanji is way faster than beam speed, so basically light speed. Sanji is way faster than light speed, which is pretty crazy to say. And now it seems like the Seraphim are back on the Straw Hat side, and looks like Stussy is coming along with the crew as Vegapunk offers her to ride along. But not everything is going great for the Straw Hats, as Luffy has lost sight of Vegapunk and Bonnie, and they have disappeared. We then shift to Sphinx in the New World, which was the hometown of Whitebeard. And looks like Marco has arrived and is just talking to the villagers, and the villagers are actually telling him a story of what happened to the island. And to summarize what happened, the Marines came to Sphinx looking for Whitebeard's treasure, and basically were attacking the villagers to try to extract the information of where Whitebeard's treasure could possibly be. And the villagers were like, yo, this treasure ain't here, dude. What are you even asking us for? And just as the Marines were about to kind of torture them and try to extract this information, luckily our boy Weevil pulls up and takes out the Marines. Due to this, the Marines actually came back and sent in Green Bull to take Weevil out. Green Bull actually ended up defeating Weevil and taking him to Marine headquarters, or I'm guessing to prison. And so this brings into question, is Green Bull actually stronger than Weevil, and was this an easy fight for Green Bull? It seems like Green Bull has been getting a lot of action lately, and this is another big W for him as he just beat out a warlord. So honestly, Green Bull has came back from that showing against Shanks where he just ran away. Another way I could have seen Weevil lose is if Green Bull got his hands on his mother, Miss Buckin. If Green Bull got his hands on Miss Buckin and is just like, yo, either come with us or we're gonna take out Miss Buckin, obviously Weevil would have just gone with them. So maybe it wasn't as clear cut as we think, but potentially it was. And it's funny to see after Miss Buckin tells Marco this story that Marco still doesn't believe that Weevil is Whitebeard's son. And Miss Buckin was so fed up that she stated that Vegapunk would be the only one who can prove it. And I was thinking deeper on how Vegapunk could have been involved in this, and I'm guessing that since Stussy was the first successful example of a clone, maybe the first unsuccessful example of a clone was Weevil. And so the reason Vegapunk knows that Weevil is Whitebeard's son is that they did use Whitebeard's DNA to create Weevil, but it was unsuccessful as they couldn't reproduce Whitebeard in his totality. Clearly, Weevil seems like he's kind of patched together and doesn't have it all there up in his brain, but he does have the strength of Whitebeard, as Kizaru has said in the past. So I'm guessing their criteria for what makes a successful clone is that not only are they physically comparable to the original person, maybe they also have to be mentally comparable to that person. And lastly, we pan to the marine ships heading towards Egghead Island, and we hear from Kizaru, who has brought a snack for someone on the ship, and not only that, he has tested that snack for poison. And who is this person? It is Saint Jay Garcia Saturn, who is one of the members of the Gorosei. Kizaru then asks Garcia if he's ever met Vegapunk before, and Garcia says that he had very, very long time ago. And something interesting that Garcia finishes off with is that he finds this turn of events most regrettable. So it seems like he's actually sad that he has to take out Vegapunk. So right as this Gorosei member's name has been revealed, there's been a lot of speculation on the connections of this character, and it seems like the inspiration for this character was a guy named Jerry Garcia, and he apparently was a famous musician who played the electric guitar. And since this Saint Jay Garcia was revealed to have the name Saturn, a lot of people started looking into the connections with Saturn and the other celestial objects we have heard in the story. And so when you look into the Roman mythology of Saturn itself, you see that Saturn has a sister named Ops. And interestingly enough, this Ops deity is actually the god of fertility and earth. And based on this, a lot of people have been speculating that Imu is actually the goddess of the earth. I'm not completely bought in on that idea as I looked into this a little bit deeper. And as you look into this deeper, the word Ops actually originates from a Sanskrit word named Upanas. And when you look at the Sanskrit meaning of Upanas, it's actually given that this means water. And so at the fundamental level, I still think Imu has the abilities of the water devil fruit, or she is the essence of water itself. And getting back to Saturn himself, this also brings into question is why is he even coming? And so it looks like it was the plan for Kizaru and Garcia to come since the beginning. Why would a Gorosei member need to come down for this? One advantage that the Gorosei brings is that they have the highest level of authority over the Seraphim. Now Garcia will be able to override anything that Vegapunk tells the Seraphim. My best guess on why Garcia was sent down is that the world government wants to recover these Seraphim. And if you really think about it, if Vegapunk was able to hang on to these Seraphim, he would just modify the authority chip to make sure that he has the highest authority over the Gorosei. So the Gorosei really want to recover these Seraphim before Vegapunk has them for too long. And if you really want to speculate on why Garcia was brought here, is maybe Garcia is really freaking strong. So maybe we have underestimated on how strong the Gorosei are. And this would honestly throw everything for a loop if the Gorosei were actually really strong, because how would the world have needed the balance of the Yonko if the Gorosei can just come in and fight them? And the final thing I want to touch on is if Garcia was labeled as Saturn, what are the other Gorosei labeled as? Are they also labeled as other types of planets? And we know some things that are labeled as planets already, such as the ancient weapons like Uranus and Pluton, and even one ancient weapon is named after another Greek god, Poseidon. So are the Gorosei connected to these ancient weapons? Are the Gorosei ancient weapons? But there definitely has to be some kind of connection between the sun god, the moon, Uranus, Pluton, Saturn, and all of this. The Gorosei has to be connected to it. The celestial dragons have to be connected to it. Sun god Nika has to be connected here somehow. And there has to be a reason there is a lot of this celestial body naming of different characters and weapons. And I guess we'll just have to find out. And that's all I've got for you guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Let me know if you think this Saturn guy is an ancient weapon. Do you think he's really freaking strong? I have no freaking clue. Deuces.